Catholic, a Protestant, and a pescatarian walk into a podcast studio. I haven't figured out the punchline yet, but I think maybe that is the punchline.
I think it is.
Yeah, you got to a good start.
All right, for page 2, we got a bunch more callers. But before we get into those callers, Savvy D, I wanted to talk to Judah when we took that pandiculation break. He was talking about because TK was just down doing we call it the Ramsey car wash. He was down there at Ramsey HQ and he was doing a bunch of shows there at Dave Ramsey's, multiplex. And they have this really impressive operation they've put together. It's 1,100 people and they have 2 office towers paid for with cash, no debt, which is even more impressive. And you've been down there. You did the Ramsey car wash, talking about the book recently. And what was fascinating is what do you guys, you were like, what do you guys think of that? And I was like, I'm really impressed by it. The way that I'm impressed that if I go down to LACMA and I look at a Picasso painting, I can say, wow, that's amazing. But I don't have to take it home to appreciate it. And there was a moment in 2021 where we were sort of faced with this crossroads, okay, do we become the Ramsey version of minimalism, right? And I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that, but I also knew it wasn't for me. And I know you've gone through a similar letting go over the last few years, and I assume it was probably accelerated by COVID quite a bit. And I was wondering if maybe you could talk a bit about the difficulty of letting go, but also other people's perception of you when you let go. Because when you start letting go, it's like, hey, Judah, what's wrong? Are you okay?
Well, I think I was excited to see you guys today, and life is so silly and funny. You got to schedule a podcast to see each other, but here we are, and I think part of that is where I was a year ago, where I am today. Hopefully, we all keep growing and going in the direction that we feel compelled to live by. It's been several years now, but I was in this kind of, they've coined the phrase mega church situation in Seattle. You've got tens of thousands of patrons, congregation members, and 7 or 8 buildings, and it was all wonderful. And in my Protestant kind of charismania line of work, that's like kind of the goal. The more is always better, bigger is always better. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So I started asking kind of my spiritual leaders and fathers, like, hey, what do I do now? They're like, do another service, buy another building, and I was like, all right. So at one point I was doing 14 sermons a week. Whoa. And I would do 8 every Sunday in 7 different locations.
Wait, can you lay that out? What did that look like?
Yeah, well, the first service started at 8 a.m. on Sunday and the last service started at 10 p.m. And then
can you imagine us doing that with Sunday Symposium?
I'm assuming you fasted on these days because there's no time for lunch.
Yeah, I would eat, I don't eat till afternoon anyway. So I was a lot of caffeine, man. Yeah. But Monday fast forward several years, I did that routine for, I think it might've been 4 or 5 years. And I woke up one Monday morning and called a pastor friend of mine and said, I don't know what year it is. Wow. And I'm not entirely sure where I am. I know I'm in Washington. I can figure it out, bro. But what's going on? He's like, you're on the verge of a legitimate breakdown. But here's the irony. I was told by everyone in my space, in my place, bro, this is the zenith. This was the goal. And I was always told bigger is better, more is better, all that things. And so when I started to go, is this God's plan for my life? Like, this is God's plan? To be fatigued, to be exhausted, to be, the lack of buoyancy, which is a big mantra for me in my soul, because Jesus said, come get away with me, I'll give you rest. But he delineated the rest for your soul. So he offers soul rest. And I was like, here I am dealing Jesus. And I have the opposite of soul rest. I am a restless soul who can't place what year he's in. So I'm like, this is not, I've become a starving baker. I'm fixing bread for everybody else, but I'm not eating myself. What is going on? This is the goal. So we started doing a bunch of research. God started speaking to me. And when I say that, I just get these inklings and these feelings. That's what I mean. And started to process and journey towards the direction in which God had called us to, which was church like a home, church in your home. And function really under the premise of being a good neighbor and what that looked like. So, by the way, I didn't know my neighbors because I was too busy preparing talks to help other people know their neighbors. How ironic is that? I'm dead serious. Wow. Wait, what's that guy's name again? Oh, I don't know. I got to get in the car. I have a security detail and they're picking me up in my Escalade and they're taking me to my big important corporate gatherings where I disseminate all of what everyone else should do, but I don't have the time to do it because I'm so important. So I just didn't want to live that life. I didn't want my kids to grow up in that. And so several years ago in their developmental years, we slowed down and we did less. And I've never been in a better state in my soul. But if I'm really honest, as I'm standing between you two, which is perfect and meaningful to me, is that I have never felt more misunderstood by all the guys and gals who loved me when I was doing 14 services and admired me when I had certain numbers on the board. And when those were gone, and my explanation was because I feel more alive and I feel healthier and I feel like this serves humanity better, that answer is not sufficient. And it's not true. And they won't believe it. It's like, no, bro, what else is going on? And now last night, guys, as I'm standing here, we announced that I'm going back to every Wednesday night at the Saban Theater here in LA. And the roar really put me off. And it really bothered me. And I was like, because I felt like I'm supposed to do and I'm like, here, am I about to do this again, bro?
Right.
And as much as I love when people, by the way, roar, 700 people clapped, okay? But like, everybody relax. I make it sound like we're in a Coliseum. Relax, Judah. There was a few smatterings of claps, okay? But it unnerved me. I love us preachers. There was a roar. No, there wasn't. So yeah, as I'm standing here, like I knew we were going to be here together today, and it means a lot. And not to make this all about a therapy session for Judah, but here we are, and the way that and the trajectory in which you've lived your life speaks to me, and it's something that I promise you in my own way I'm practicing. But I must admit, as I stand here right now, there's a lot of pain that goes with it, and I can't seem to prove to my friends that I love like nothing's actually wrong. In fact, I think nothing's ever been better. Like my marriage, my kids, my soul.
Better for you, but maybe not better for the perception of other people. And I call this the disease of more. I grew up really poor, and I thought the reason we were unhappy growing up is we didn't have much money, so I needed more. And so when I turned 18, I went out and got the entry-level corporate job, and I climbed the corporate ladder for the next 12 years. And by age 30, I had everything I thought I wanted. The big house in the suburbs and the luxury cars, plural, the walk-in closets, plural, of expensive clothes. I also had all the debt and anxiety and stress that went along with that, right? And the thing that changed my mind throughout all of it was the overwhelm and the burnout, because I was doing something similar. I was working 80 hours a week. I had 150 retail stores, and which I know is ironic with the whole minimalism thing. But I realized like more and more, and the guys that I aspired to be like, the C-level executives and the senior vice presidents. And it's like, wait a minute. As the closer I got to them, they were kind of miserable. And I worked 80 hours a week. And if I could just do this for another 20 years, maybe I'll be just as miserable as they are. And I said, well, wait a minute, but I'm different. It's like, well, wait, Josh, no, you're not. If you follow the same recipe, you'll bake the same cake. And so I didn't want to spend the next 20 years being ostensibly successful and materially successful. I had one boss who was on his second heart attack and third marriage. And I realized like, oh, wait a minute. That's just going to be me. It's not a judgment. I need to have compassion for him because I'm walking down the same exact path. I see what is laid out in front of me. And I think you were in a similar situation. Other people, they saw what you were doing and they aspired to be like you because, wow, the power of Judah Smith. He can do 14 and it's so meaningful and fulfilling. It must be, at least 1/14 more meaningful from that 13th service he was doing. Yeah. And plus 13 is an unlucky number anyway. So he probably went right from 12 to 14 right away. And so you realize like, oh, wait a minute. They aspire to have that level of devotion to what you're doing, of commitment, of power. And yet they don't realize, you see the shiny facade, you see the advertisement of Judah Smith, and look at that picture of him with the ripped jeans in the magazine. Now, that's the Judah Smith that I know. And it's not him like backstage forgetting what year it is and pulling his hair out and he has a migraine at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, you're living other people's dream. And even though you knew that God was moving you in a different direction, other people, they can't fathom how you would walk away from what is still their dream, from what they're trying to achieve. And so, of course, they're going to find it unbelievable. Of course, they're going to say, nah, you're not telling us everything. You couldn't possibly be happy with that because I'm not happy with where I'm at. I'm not happy with not being famous. I'm not happy with not having 14 services. I would love to be in that position. But it's one of those things, kind of like what Jim Carrey said about money, how he wishes everybody could be a millionaire so they can find out that material wealth doesn't make you happy. It's one of those things we can hear over and over again, but it's still that thing that we have to find out for ourselves, right? It's just hard to imagine. But here's one thing I'll say, man, the paradox of experiencing the heights that you've experienced. And I know you don't describe it as that, and I appreciate that humility. I appreciate that genuine modesty. But you have ministered at a level of influence where there are a lot of people that don't have access to you. They're not in your inner circle. They have opinions about you and you don't know what those opinions are. If I was talking about LeBron James and Steph Curry, there's a good chance they know what Stephen A. Smith thinks about them because he's a colleague in a certain sense, but they don't know what we think about them because we're not part of their world. And I think there are a lot of voices that are not loud voices. They don't have access to you, but they see what you do and they watch the way you move, and that validates them in ways you may never hear about, that inspires them in ways that you may never hear about. And there are people that may have been on a path to pursue something, and they're saying, wait a minute, here's a guy that had all that, and we respect him and we trust him, and he's walking away from that. That gives us a reason to rethink the way that we were doing things. You may not hear from those people as much as you hear from the people that were close to you saying, you must be crazy, but the loudest voices ain't always the only voices. When I told my brother, who's a pastor in Chicago, that you were going to be our guest today, he recounted a moment where he met you in a vegan restaurant, and he talked about how you just were authentic. You didn't seem like you were hiding anything. You didn't seem like you were guarding anything. You weren't being a brand. You were just being a brother, and you were just talking to him like it was somebody that you had known for years. And I think there are a lot of people who think that way and feel that way. And I would keep those people in mind.
Wow.
And I think what you're pointing out is that you see the people who have the criticism, or not even the criticism here, it's just a misunderstanding. Is they see, like the people that saw me in the corporate world, it's like, oh, I want the 2 Lexuses and the Land Rover, right? And it's like, okay, fine. There's nothing wrong with those things. I don't think they're bad. Possessions aren't evil. But they were bad for me in the sense that I had tremendous amounts of debt, which stuck me to a lifestyle. I was feeling stuck. And so for me, walking away, I felt something similar. When it was a couple of weeks before Christmas, I was tasked to close 8 retail stores, lay off 42 employees. And I had 2 weeks to do it. And long story short is I turned in the plan with all the employees on it, and my name was the first one on the list. And this was December 2010. And it was a death of sorts because, well, first my boss thought I was joking. And then he said, I'm not going to let you leave, which was terrifying. I didn't realize.
I quit. No, you don't.
Because I imagine there were people in the system that you were in there where their demeanor, even if they didn't say it like that, was like, we can't let Judah walk away. And then I had other people think I was lying. Like people were secretly coming to me, all right, so what competitor are you going to?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm just going to write. I wanted to write fiction. This whole minimalism thing was a beautiful accident. I wanted to work at a local coffee shop and write fiction, and no one believed me.
Yeah. Well, where you really going?
Yeah. And it was, hey, can you take me with you?
The truth comes out.
Yeah. It's like, wait, you hated working here this whole time you worked for me? You're probably going to hate if I'm taking you to a competitor as well. And I bring that up to you, Judah, because I'm sure that like people didn't believe you. They assumed something was wrong. What's going on with you?
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to admit that is the most painful part, which is ironic because it's not anything that's actually literally happening to you or playing out. And how many days right now, and I wonder if the incredible listeners feel this way too, like I'll have whole days that are actually great days, and what's actually happening to me or in my heart or in my mind or in front of me or whatever is so dynamic and amazing. But I find out that someone I don't even know their last name feels like something must be terribly wrong and I must be hiding something or I must be up to something or I must be sneaky. And it just takes the wind out of my sails and my head starts spinning. And the truth is, my dad used to say, Judah, if anyone's even talking about you, you should be flattered. They're talking about you.
Yes.
A lot of people never get talked about, period, good or bad. So there's some things that I move towards that really help me keep going. But man, I'm embarrassed to be 47 years old and to be standing between you two on this amazing content platform and still admitting that there's, in all likelihood, something that's going to happen today. I'm going to hear something. Last night I gave a speech and a buddy of mine texted me. He's like, hey, bro, quick question. Abraham, are they the same person? Because that wasn't clear in your sermon. And it's like, boom, I just get hit with this emotion of like, man, I just really wasn't clear. And that really not enough. And it's really like, and I portray myself to be not nearly as vulnerable as that or that susceptible, but I am. And I still find myself again getting hung up on the smallest of tripwires. They're not big at all. And I wish it was like, I don't know, President Clinton tweeted about me and it's like, well, that must suck. Barack Obama came for you and he doesn't like you. I'd be devastated. But I don't know why I got suddenly, referencing presidents, but it's usually just someone I don't even know. And they say something and it just hurts my feelings. And suddenly I'm just kind of in that spiral moment. And, the fact that I'm still there, I thought I would grow out of that a long time ago. And so I see you guys and I see how you navigate, and it is meaningful because you give me the impression, at least, that like there has been some real significant development and growth in this direction of letting go of things that other people work their whole life to obtain.
Well, I think it starts with understanding what enough is. It's the one question we never stop to ask. How much is enough? How much is enough money? How much is enough followers? The things that we can be counted. We talked about pleonexia earlier, right? And we get greed for the things that we can count. But the things that count are often the things that can't be counted. I can't tell you how many metric tons of love I have for my wife, right? I don't know how many yards of joy that I experience with her. I can't measure these things. There aren't cubic feet of grief in my life, but I experience grief, right? I experience sorrow or frustration, and those things are harder to measure, but so are the so-called positive emotions as well. And so we use the counting stats as a proxy. Like, wow, I have 20,000 people showing up to my 8 buildings and I do 14 of these talks every week. And at least I can count those things. It goes back to when we left social media. It was a bunch of things that we could count. And those things aren't bad. Measuring isn't bad. It's really useful if you're building a house, right? It's less useful if you're building an identity. And our identity is often shaped around the things, it's shaped around what other people we've never met, people we'll never meet, are conducting our emotions. They're the conductor of our emotions. And this is why I often turn to TK. He's my counselor, my clutter counselor.
Yeah, me too.
You can tell, right? Like, there's an it seems to me that TK, I don't know. There's it's not a not caring. It's, I don't care about them. It's like, no, I care deeply. I care so much that I'm not going to let your emotions influence mine.
Mm. Man, I just want to say this. Every calling has a cross. And there's a particular form of heaviness or weight that comes upon you with everything that you do. And that cross is a means for our own sanctification. It is there to make us perfect. And sometimes we don't get to talk about all the details related to our crosses, but everything that we do talk about, we talk with the interior depth of one who knows what it means to carry that cross. I remember Hemingway said something to the effect of, the essence of everything that you know will be conveyed through anything that you write. So let's say you write fiction, but you love nerding out on math in your free time. You may never talk about math in your fiction, but because that is in you, there might be a certain quality of rigor or logical precision or mathematical orderliness that shows up in the way you do fiction, and people will feel something special, although they don't know where it is, what it is, and where it comes from. In a similar way, a man who has suffered, a man who knows what it means to be misunderstood, a man who knows what it means to carry a cross, is able to speak with an impact and a quality of depth. Other people may not know where it came from, and you may not always be in a position to tell them, but that's going to increase your impact. So we always carry these crosses for other people and not just ourselves. The other thing I say too is that in every life, we have to make the choice. Do I want to be a saint or do I want to be seen as one? And there are easy things we know we can do that will make us be seen as saints. You can go back to doing the 14 a day and getting all the roars from all the people, and they will change their minds. They will say, hey, brother, whatever you was going through that made you lose your way, I understand, man, but thank you for coming on back. We love you. And you will be a saint in their eyes. You will be seen as a saint, but that's not what you want. You want to go all the way. You want the real thing. You want to press in. And so this is the cross that comes with it. And it's not there for us to say, I believe it was Padre Pio who says that when we have these moments and we say, oh, I can't believe that I'm responding like this. He says, be thankful that it's not even worse, because it's only by grace that you're able to give that little response that you have. But Teresa Avila says, when we have these moments, we offer up our emptiness, because that is what's valuable to him the most. You know what? I should be better, and I'm not. That in that recognition of my own littleness is the grace of spiritual poverty. And we offer that up. And that is the most valuable thing, man. Wow, so I think what you're going through and the pain that you're feeling, even the frustration of having to deal with all of this, it's deepening your impact, deepening your ministry, so that even though you might be scaling back in numbers, you're expanding in depth, and you're going to see something unlike what you've seen in the past.
That means a lot, TK. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Wow. You see why he's my clutter counselor,
yeah.
right? For anyone else who wants a clutter counseling session, theminimalists.com.
Or just be a guest on a podcast.
That's all you need.
Or let's just hang out.
Judah, I'm wondering, before we get to our callers here, that idea of enough, as soon as I said it, I could tell it resonated, because it is not something that we stop and think about. And I think especially in your world, it's seen as almost selfish to identify I've reached enough people. With us, we do a monthly event in Southern California, and we limit it to 200 people. And there's a wait list of, there's a bunch of people, thousands of people. And we intentionally keep it to 200 in these small black box theaters. And the reason that we do that is we notice it's a different experience than if we do a large tour stop and we're doing a book tour or something. It's a gathering, it's communal, right? But part of that means excluding some people, unfortunately. And at first that feels selfish, but I think it would be more selfish if we're let's see if we can get 17,000 people into the arena, because I think it would take away from the experience of those 200. And in fact, beginning of next year, we're going to stop doing live events for a while. Just pause them, kind of like what we did with social media, just to see what we learned. How do we reimagine that? Because we know that what enough has been for us now, but I think enough changes over time. Are you experiencing any of that where I had enough, but then I realized maybe I had more than enough?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just want to underscore the simplicity of defining what is enough for you. That takes courage, by the way. It takes courage to say, this would be enough. In my line of work, my tradition, obviously, the idea is you can never say our church is big enough, because there's always more people to reach and more people to love. And yet, there's a moment in the text where people say, hey, there's some Greeks who want to see you, Jesus. And he's tell them no. And you're whoa, he's got something against Greeks? I love Greek food.
Sorry, Savvy
Big
D.
fat Greek wedding. Sorry, bro.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Sabadakis.
bro. There it is. They're as Greek as they come. Handsome guy, I must admit. Handsome
Indeed,
guy.
yes.
Even with no hair, handsome.
Professional skater, too.
Oh,
yes.
That all makes sense now.
Yeah.
He's got that look about him. Empty the pool. He'll take care of it. Jesus got nothing against Greeks. It's this idea of boundaries. And of course, we know in the text that he set his face to go to Jerusalem, and there he will accept his cross. And by that one act, there'll be provision made for everyone to be forgiven forever and have a right connection with God. So his no is actually for a much more significant yes. And I think this idea of enoughness is also, it allows you and gives you permission to say no. In my line of work,
Yes.
it's only yes. Everything is just yes. It's all for God. It's all for more people. So it's just yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, things just don't scale sometimes enough to get to the end of the yes to go, this can't be another yes. There's got to be a no in here. And so I'm learning no for me. This might sound so spiritual, but I'm not that spiritual. It is one of the greatest acts of worship I can do, because for every no, I'm saying that's for him. That belongs to him. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. This idea of like, my job is to reach everyone. Come on, man. I can't even reach myself. That's why Les wrote this book about me. Like, come on, get out of here. So like this idea of I'm going to go be this great grand deliverer and savior. No, man, I feel lost in my own head. So no, but I think God can. So every time I say no, I think I create more opportunity and certainly more personal awareness that there is a God who is completely in control, and he's able to take care of all of his kids, because the text reveals that we're all his sons and daughters, and he loves us all, and it's amazing. So I think there's a little bit of a Messiah complex, if I'm honest, a little bit in my tradition. And certainly I'll impose that on me. I started to get the feeling like I have to, it's never enough. We got to reach more. And somehow that was nobility when in reality, it was a lot of arrogance and pride and self-serving. So much more, obviously, I can say there.
Yeah. There's something about the more that can't be counted, right? More peace, more freedom, more equanimity. There's not, how many kilometers of equanimity do you have in your life? And it's like, I can't measure it, but you know it. You feel it.
And can I say, Josh, the thing that frustrates me so much is that when my friends talk to me about the numbers that we've scaled back on, but then I tell them what's happened in my soul, which I know is invisible, but I've got more of this, and Chelsea and I, 26 years married, but I don't know, like sex has never been better. Like just real weird, simple stuff. And every time it's just not enough. They're just like, and yet they told me, TK, that the priority and our kids, and that was like my first church, and adhere to it and serve it. And so I feel like I have, and I look at even some of my heroes and I'm like, hey, so just so you know, my kid's never been better. Like I've never been more at peace. My relationship with God is more rhythmic and paced and intimate. And yeah. So what are you going to do about the giving? Donation? That's down a lot, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked. I guess I can. So do you own any real estate now? Oh, yeah. Wait, what? Like, I thought we were totally on a different wavelength.
Yeah.
And that's just disappointing, I guess, in its simplest way.
I think that's a cultural thing. We're in a consumerist culture, and consumerism is an ideology that acquiring more will satisfy us, make us happy, will complete us, right? And therefore, you'll be more complete with more square footage, more buildings, more attendees, whatever it is. And then we end up feeling more incomplete than ever. Right? Because all the things you said are important. It's like, all right, everyone, go love your neighbor because I don't have time to. That is so powerful, man.
It's true, bro.
I don't know what chapter and verse that was. But.
I didn't even know their names, dog. I didn't even know their names.
It's funny too, man. It's like the music in the restaurant. When it's playing and it's doing its job, we don't notice it. We don't appreciate it. We just focus meal. But when that music stops, it feels funny, and we complain about the ambiance. We can't appreciate what we don't see. That path you were on, where it probably would have led, is something like you waking up one morning and not calling your friend and saying, hey, I don't even know what year it is. You would be calling your friend saying, I don't know where my family is.
Oof.
I don't know where my soul is. I don't even know if I believe this anymore. I don't think I want to do anything anymore. I'm burned out. I need to check myself in somewhere. And then everybody be like, why you didn't tell us anything, Pastor? Pastor, you should have took a vacation. You should have took a sabbatical. Why
we would have supported you. No, you wouldn't. Yes. And so part of that walking
that helped a lot.
Part of that walking away is walking away from the expectations of others, and you don't have to carry their expectations is the thing that I learned, because it was weighed down with the expectations of others. And by the way, I still pick them up regularly. Right. and so, but every time I pick it up, I realize, I can set this down. I've gotten much better at setting it down because you recognize the pattern of picking up someone else's expectations.
I hope you enjoyed that highlight from the Minimalist Private Podcast. If you'd like to see another one, click here. If you'd like to check out the minimal episode, click here. Or if you'd like to dive deep into the full Maximal episode, check out our Patreon. The link is in the description.